Welcome to the Cole Squared Podcast. My name is Cole.
And I'm Cole. Okay, so first let's talk about the delay for the
Christmas special.
Oh yeah, this is the Christmas special. Cue
Yay!
Christmas music. No, I'm gonna put actual Christmas music in.
Well, I tried.
Oh well.
Okay.
But because last time we did promise that it would be the Christmas special, this is the Christmas special that has nothing to do with Christmas.
And it's recorded on March 5th.
So enjoy the Christmas music, let your heart sing out, and make sure Santa gets you those gifts you want.
Ho, ho, ho! Was that a good Santa impression?
No.
Oh, sorry, Coach.
All right.
We're both wearing Santa hats, by the way.
Oh, yeah. We're really festive, as you can see on the Cole Squared Twitter.
Yeah.
Follow the Cole Squared Twitter at the Cole Squared.
On Twitter.
On Twitter.
I'm going to go tweet right now while you talk.
Okay, sounds good to me. We watched 3 movies for the point of recording this podcast. We are planning to start making this more of a regular thing, but should that happen, will be an actual miracle. The 3 movies we had watched are Sausage Party, When Blackbirds Fly, and the Cartoon Network series Over the Garden Wall.
That is very correct. Oh, wait. Oh, I gotta sneeze. Oh. When we say we watched these 3 movies, we watched Over the Garden Wall, we watched Sausage Party, which sucked, and
We skimmed When Blackbirds Fly. We watched a review of it, and then we watched like the first 20 minutes. I've watched an hour of it, and I guess we'll talk about it when we get to it.
okay. So, do you want to start with the good one or with?
Yeah, let's start with Over the Garden Wall because I feel like the rest is gonna be me very
Angry.
angry or disgusted.
And well, you could be angry. I'll be disgusted.
All right,
Okay.
that works.
So, Over the Garden Wall. I had never seen this before. Cole saw it as that was too loud. I'd never seen this before. Cole saw it as it aired. And it was actually really freaking great. It's it's a very Western style cartoon, I would say, that basically depicts the journeys of 2 boys through a forest in which it's basically all about the unknown.
Over the Garden Wall was a animated series that aired in 2014. It ran for 1 week after the pilot was allowed through Cartoon Network. It was independently done with Elijah Woods as the main voice actor, and it's the closest thing to a Western animated anime, I guess, because it's sort of... When we make stories that have, like, sequential plots when it comes to animation, we try to copy the anime style. Examples being...
Avatar: The Last Airbender.
Avatar: The Last Airbender.
Yeah.
Which is a great show on its own right, but it is trying to be anime.
Uh-huh.
Instead of embracing that Western feel, which, like, that there's no problem there, because Avatar: The Last Airbender is great, and there's no problem with wanting to imitate that style if you think it's cool. But Over the Garden Wall just keeps its really Western origins and has a very Western story to it, which is the fear of death and the unknown.
Can I say something?
Yeah.
That attempt to cling to anime for serious storytelling may be best represented by by how Western animation is usually depicted, as we'll get to when we talk about Sausage Party.
We're not talking about Sausage Party yet. Don't make me do this.
Okay. All right, let's talk about Over the Garden Wall.
Okay, so, did you have any questions about Over the Garden Wall?
Yes. So, everything that happened was real.
Yes.
As proved by when they shook the frog. What was the tea kettle boy's name? Greg?
Greg, yeah.
When Greg shook the frog at the end, he glue a little bit.
Yeah, because the frog in an earlier episode swallowed that bell that controlled the demon lady. So Lorna, yeah.
Yeah.
So when he shook the frog, it glue. So is glue the correct tense?
Glowed.
Glowed?
Wait. You keep talking, I'll Google it.
it glowed and or glued, and
it definitely didn't glued. I'll tell you that much right now.
So because of that, it proves that all of the events of the story actually happened. A little plot rundown is 2 boys are going through the woods. They start the series as they're lost, and
They're both dressed very awkwardly, I'd like to say. One boy is wearing like a dunce hat and a cape, and the other boy is wearing a tea kettle on his head.
so it gives this very fantasy-like impression, and you're not really expecting these kids to be sort of normal high school kids. But whenever Wirt, who is the main character, the main boy, the older kid,
Elijah Wood.
Elijah Wood. When Elijah Wood speaks, he speaks more of like a sort of stereotypical 1990s teenager.
Yeah.
So it seems weird that everybody else is talking like they're from a different time period, which we can get to that subject in a little bit more. But he's talking more modern, and heavy spoilers ahead.
Spoiler!
That was loud. Anyway, so what's actually happening is in the real world, or I suppose our world, they had fallen into a lake on Halloween night, which is why they're wearing these awkward costumes. And they're on the brink of death. And what is death? Well, it's the unknown. And they're lost in the place that they only know as the unknown. With the main antagonist being the Beast, who is fully there with them all the time to watch them until they give up and get lost forever in the unknown, which means they are actually dead. Something you may not have noticed is every episode took place in a different time period.
I did not notice that.
There you go.
But now that I think about it, it makes perfect sense.
It goes from, I believe, let's see, I think it was 1700s to the early 1900s.
Okay.
I think that was it. With the starting episode... No, the starting episode was with the Woodsman, with the wolf.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the second episode being in Pottsfield, which is a town of skeletons that are dressed up in pumpkin outfits.
The pumpkin people.
Which...
One is a cat spoiler.
Ooh. A little foreshadowing there, because they're celebrating the harvest in fall and wearing costumes. Because it's Halloween.
That is very true.
There you go.
I'd like to mention something that Cole mentioned, because he's, I don't know. The Beast in this show is very representative, very close to the way that the Beast is represented in The Lord of the Flies.
Yeah, in both works, the Beast is this idea of an unknown fear. Now, the difference between this symbolism is that in Over the Garden Wall, the Beast is something that actually exists. It's a manifestation of the fear of the unknown, the souls of the lost. Where in Lord of the Flies, although it is still the fear of the unknown, it does not exist.
Yeah.
Because they're afraid of it without knowing what it is. But because once Wirt and Greg learn what the Beast is and learn what his problem is, they no longer fear it, because they've learned what the unknown is. Unlike Lord of the Flies, once they figure out what the Beast actually is, Jack uses it as a way to coerce the other boys.
Heck yeah, he does. In one, the Beast is actually an entity that has power. In the other, he's just a dead paratrooper, and the power is in the people's fear of him.
Yeah, pretty much. So, anything else to say on Over the Garden Wall?
I really liked it. Is that... When I first saw the animation... First of all, I really liked all the creepy stuff about it. But when I first saw the animation, is that, like, Adventure Time-esque? Like, I've never seen Adventure Time, so I'm just wondering.
I guess. It's sort of like... Well, stylistically, it's very different from Adventure Time. Adventure Time has very loose sort of figures with not really defined faces, more of very simplistic faces. Meanwhile, every character made sure they had their own sort of jaw face. Their designs were very important as to who they are. Wirt is dressed up as a gnome and is the pilgrim. That's the deal there. It's, I guess stylistically, it's Adventure Time-esque. Except the characters in Over the Garden Wall seem much more solid than Adventure Time characters do, in the way that they're portrayed with anatomy.
Yeah. I really liked it, and honestly, when I first saw, like the first few frames of it, I didn't expect to like it as much as I did, because I've been kind of biased against Adventure Time because of the massive Adventure Time fandom that goes across everybody. You know what I mean?
I dislike Adventure Time. I've talked about this a lot.
Yeah.
I don't like Adventure Time because they set up stories and a ton of plot, and I get that it's Western, but Over the Garden Wall tells a complete and concise story And Adventure Time has been pushed by Cartoon Network to the brink of death, and it needs to be unplugged, and it is going to be soon because it's not renewed for its next season. I think somewhere along there. I think we still have it for one more year. I think season 9 is where it's getting canceled. But they set up these big plot points as their season finales. And they don't go anywhere with them. They get rid of the plot completely for jokes. There was one thing. Okay, Finn loses his arm at one of the season finales when he finds his dad, which is the only time we've ever met his parents in the same timeline. His parents.
Yes.
Now, Finn had been foreshadowed for losing that specific arm. There had been several depictions of Finn in other, realms, other representations of Finn, the way he dreamt of himself, the way his past life looked, Shoko. They all had removed arms. I forget which side it was, left, right. It was the right arm. They all had removed right arms, right? Mm-hmm. And then he gets a grass blade around his wrist. Now, what it is it's like the Assassin's Creed sort of thing. He can go like that, and he has a sword, right? Okay. So, he gets that grass blade, and it's a magic grass blade that's cursed, and he can't take it off. But he's fine with that, because it's a cool-ass sword.
Yeah.
But he can use it to extend his grip, right, and make himself stronger. So what happens is his dad's running away on this floating space debris that has, a jet on it or something. It's going away really fast.
Yeah.
Oh, it was a comet. And he grabs onto it with the grass, right? Mm-hmm. And it envelops his entire arm to get as much strength out of him as possible so he can hold onto it. And then it rips his arm off.
Yikes.
Right? And so this is what people have been waiting for. This is a big plot point that was foreshadowed for tons of seasons. And then, in what is touted as one of the worst Adventure Time episodes, the Breezy episode, he meets the queen bee. Now, because he had, a grass blade, the thing that is left in his arm is a sprouting flower. Something that could be representative as new beginnings. Because what we think is going to happen is Finn is going to have to deal with this representation of loss and this having to rehabilitate himself and figure out, who he is, because he can't be that big, strong adventurer right now. Mm-hmm. Because he's not at full working capacity.
He doesn't have an arm. Yeah.
So, and then Princess Bubblegum tries to give him a bunch of different robot arms. And he doesn't think any of them work right. Mm-hmm. Right? So, that's all really well and good. And there's this really touching episode where he is able to use the spirit of his arm, the thought of his arm being there, and the emotion of his dad wanting to be with his dad again to build a tower up to space. But it's hurting him to do this. Mm-hmm. So he keeps, brick by brick, building a tower upward so he can go find his dad. Mm-hmm. And then it all falls down because he can't keep up his arm anymore because the pain of remembering is just too much.
Yikes.
But guess what the episode, a couple episodes, maybe the episode after that is. It's the Breezy episode, which is a queen bee without a hive, I think, goes to find Finn because she wants to have sex with his flower.
Yikes.
Yeah, and I'm not kidding about that. Now, there's an allegory for rape in this episode. Yeah, and it's disgusting.
Oh my god.
Yeah. Finn... No, it was LSP. Whatever.
Is this Cartoon Network?
This is Cartoon Network.
Gross.
Mm-hmm. And it's this really disgusting thing. And Finn, basically Breezy gets into his flower. And, wow, didn't realize that implication. Cool. Okay.
There's so many to deflower.
Shut up.
Hamilton reference.
I know. But then... After seasons of this being foreshadowed,
yep,
his arm just grows back in the last 2 minutes of the episode as a joke.
What, really?
Yeah.
After he was raped by a bee?
Yeah.
Do they just have no respect for the story that they're telling?
It feels that way. It feels like somebody had these really... I know Pendleton Ward, who was the guy who created Adventure Time, and was writing for it and is also a voice actor for several of the characters, stepped away from being part of the story. But this was just something that was, it was there. And it feels like they have these plot lines that they're bringing in and they want to talk about, and then they just get rid of it. Mm-hmm. Probably because it's the same thing with Steven Universe, is they don't... If it's too sequential... They can't rerun it.
Yeah.
So that's the big issue with Western animation, other than what we're going to talk about when we get to Sausage Party.
Oh God.
Is is that things need to be they can't be sequential, because when smaller children watch it, they need to be able to go, haha, I like when Steven does that, and not be confused when Finn has his arm lost and they just watched an episode where he had his arm in season 1 or whatever,
That's one of the things that, and I know your opinion about South Park, but that's one of the things I really respected about the last 2 seasons of South Park, is they're both just sequential stories. Like, the entire season is a massive story, whereas before then, South Park was always just like episode by episode. But I wonder if you're saying that Adventure Time is dying or should die. Do you feel the same way about, like, SpongeBob?
Oh, well, see, SpongeBob doesn't have a plot line. SpongeBob is made to be that. It is episode by episode, nothing changes.
Yeah.
It's just whatever happens in that episode. It's very like a sitcom, although sitcoms usually have some sort of undergoing plot. SpongeBob doesn't. I don't know about the recent SpongeBob, although I can't imagine that they have a plot. Because the idea of SpongeBob is that it can be reran all the time.
Yeah.
All the time. Because the only time there's a story that is continued through multiple episodes is through when there's a 2-hour special. Mm-hmm. Well, not a 2-hour special. Is when there's like a half-hour special.
Like the best day ever.
Yeah, like best day ever. Or like the time they went to Atlantis, or there's a SpongeBob movie coming out. Like, it's just that kind of thing, because...
Oh, that was a weird episode, the Atlantis one. Yeah, he says you remember that guy with the butt.
The guy with the butt?
Yeah, you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. That was the voice of SpongeBob. That was that guy.
Oh, that's Tom Kenny?
Yeah, that's Tom Kenny.
Fun fact, also the voice of the Ice King.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Wow, connections.
Yeah.
But whereas I don't really know if SpongeBob should die. I don't think it's for us anymore, because I know back when it was coming out, I watched it with my dad all the time.
Yeah.
And SpongeBob was one of the highest shows behind sports that college kids watched. Mm-hmm. Like, kids love this of all ages. Like, everybody loved it. But now it's in this strange place where the humor is too kiddie for kids and too grotesque for adults.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of really gross imagery in SpongeBob.
Like, SpongeBob used to be like let me think, like the first episode is he's doing this weird dance and he makes a massive elephant out of a bubble, and Patrick is dumb and he just looks at it and laugh. And like, you can watch that and like, you don't, it's like, you can watch it and you can like it, and nothing about you feels guilty about watching it just because it's just sort of fun. But nowadays, like, SpongeBob drops a cash register, it falls on Squidward's head, and Squidward's eyes pop out. And it's like, that's supposed to be funny.
No, okay, there was this. Oh, it's gross.
Yeah.
It's SpongeBob and Squidward are moving a table, and SpongeBob...
Oh, the nail?
The nail.
Oh, God.
Yeah, SpongeBob moves the table over Squidward, the octopus's nail, on his foot.
Like his toenail.
Yeah, his toenail. And it goes back, and you see under the nail, and it's... Ugh.
God.
I can't imagine a kid watching that and not starting to cry.
Like, it went from being, like, innocent and fun to they're like... What the heck? I don't even know what they were thinking. It was probably because after season 3, their lead writer decided that the SpongeBob canon should die, so he stepped away.
Is that really what happened?
That's actually what... Because after season 3 aired the SpongeBob SquarePants movie, and that was when the lead writer decided that the SpongeBob series should die, because that's all he wanted it to be, and that's all he considers as canon. But then Nickelodeon decided to continue it anyway, obviously, because it's definitely their biggest series.
Well, it's their second.
Oh, what's their first now?
Fairly Odd Parents is the longest running series on Cartoon Network. No.
Nickelodeon.
Nickelodeon.
Thank you.
That's copyright.
Oh,
You're
crap, cut
gonna
that.
have to cut that one.
I didn't know that. Who cares about Fairly Odd Parents?
I don't know, but it's one of the longest running shows. The guy who made it, Butch Hartman, he made Danny Phantom, and he made the other show, Tough Puppy.
Remember the Mighty Bee?
Yeah. Oh God, the Mighty Bee.
Jesus.
Oh no.
What is happening to our cartoons?
Well, I mean, like,
There's something to be appreciated about the fact that the Gundam anime series, there's 30 different series, and they're all basically the exact same.
are they? How many have you watched, huh?
Like
Huh?
3.
You're a fake fan.
I'm not a fake fan.
It's because Gundam can be any of the series can be summed up into three things. It's either this was made to sell toys, like Gundam Build Fighters.
My favorite.
Actual political space drama, like Iron Blooded Orphans or 00. Or I don't give three shits. I just want to see Gundams fight, and the story can be as bad out there as I want, and that's Gundam G.
Gundam G.
Gundam G, with the Mexican Gundam called Tequila Gundam
Dear God.
that has cactuses as shoulder pads and a sombrero, and its gun is a guitar.
Jesus.
I'm not. I wish I was kidding.
Where do people get these ideas and they're like, that's what people want?
People want racist Gundams. But yeah, so I guess I'll take this back to Butch Hartman, the guy who created Danny Phantom, The Fairly Odd Parents, and Tough Puppy.
Yep.
I think he stepped away from Fairly Odd Parents, but I'm not sure. I know recently he's come out and done some sketches of how the Danny Phantom characters would look if they were grown up. In which led people to believe, hey, what if it's coming back? But no, that's not what's happening. Butch Hartman just wanted to put something out.
Yeah, that's actually kind of surprising because I feel like the characters and the way that the story goes in Fairly Odd Parents, which like basically everything has to be in secret. I feel like that's not as versatile as the story of SpongeBob, in which you just have a bunch of under the sea creatures and nothing matters.
Well, SpongeBob's a sitcom.
Yeah.
But, like, I mean, Timmy can have anything happen to him.
Oh,
that's the
true.
thing. Like, it just... Because Fairly Odd Parents can just go as wild as it wants. Because they can... Nobody cares if the canon's destroyed.
That's true.
Do you know what Planet Dad is? I only know what Planet Dad is because I looked on the planet section of the Fairly Odd Parents wiki.
There's multiple planets?
There's multiple planets, like Planet Dad.
All I remember was, like, Naked Snake Timmy Turner during the movie.
But, so, I guess I can go into the history of Butch Hartman a little, because Butch Hartman, the reason Danny Phantom got a little weird towards the end, which I think we should actually have a thing where, yeah, we should watch, let's watch a lot of Nickelodeon series for one episode.
I'd be down with that. I love Nickelodeon, like, because I feel like a strange attachment to Nickelodeon because that's the channel that I sort of grew up on.
Yeah, same.
So, like, one of my best moments was when we went to Disney World and we stayed at the Nick Hotel, and, like, I was like, oh my gosh, like, everything is real.
Oh, I never went to the Nick Hotel. When I was little, my mom had hired a person in a SpongeBob suit to come to my birthday, and that was the greatest birthday party I ever had.
Did he, like, walk behind the corner, take off the mask, and start smoking cigarettes?
No, but
Dang
probably.
it.
This was probably my dad.
Can the podcast please pay for us to go to the Nick Hotel?
So go to our Patreon.
Yes.
But, so, Butch Hartman.
Yes.
The reason Danny Phantom started getting a little weird is because he got really Baptist Christian during its run. But not, like, to the point where he was, he was very devoted to God, but to the point where he was like, the story I wrote about ghosts, I don't want to be about ghosts anymore.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's the big thing that happened to Danny Phantom is Butch Hartman's change. I think he stepped away from Fairly Odd Parents for the same reason.
Danny
there was
Holy
magic.
Spirit?
What?
Danny Holy Spirit?
Danny the Holy Spirit. No. But yeah, so I guess that's all I wanted to say with Butch Hartman, is I wanted to mention how he got weird.
I mean, that's fine. The same thing happened to Johnny Cash.
Johnny Cash. I don't know any history about Johnny Cash.
All I remember was that, like, as he started, like, getting older and older, he turned, like, really, really, really Christian.
Didn't the same thing happened with Mel Gibson, didn't he?
Yeah, and Matthew McConaughey.
Yeah. So.
Well,
it happens.
it happens. So, Over the Garden Wall was great.
Yeah. In conclusion, Over the Garden Wall, good.
That's a transition sound, by the way.
Oh,
Alright.
yeah, we will not be featuring a 2-minute transition like last time because I checked the analytics and most people dropped off at the 2-minute transition.
You finally looked. They probably thought it was over.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. I know someone who I talked to who listened to it was like, I clicked off because I thought it was over, and then I listened to the rest of it.
Speaking of that, before we get into our next topic, I feel like we should mention something that a great listener had to say about our first episode.
Oh, yes.
Mr. Wilds, someone who commented on our
first episode.
He said, I would only be able to describe this podcast as an orgasmic adventure of cumtastic proportions for both ear and soul. Thank you for your existence.
And we would like to say that comment single-handedly inspired us to start again.
And to finally create the first Christmas special, but the second episode of the Cult Squared podcast.
Without your help, Mr. Wild, we would not be where we are today.
To viewers like you, thank you.
And to viewers unlike you, also thank you.
Also thank you.
All right, so let's move on to Sausage Party. I hate Sausage Party.
Sausage Party was utter shit, and you know it.
All right, we're done talking about Sausage
Okay.
Party. No, so give me air your grievances. Let's make this to quote Seinfeld. Let's make this Festivus.
I thought you were gonna say you like jazz.
You like jazz?
You like jazz? I am a man of loose comedy, and what I mean by that is I like stuff like Louis C.K., who, when he's a comedian, he does stuff that's really, really raunchy, and a lot of it is like really like, oh, you shouldn't be saying that. But I still find it funny sometimes, just because like the jokes are actually good and stuff like that. So I'm not like biased against this type of comedy. I'm not like a big stickler, and I'm not like, I don't have like a stick up my ass. And also, I like jokes that are weird for being weird. Like the weird walrus dude in Finding Dory. I just thought was hilarious for some reason. I don't even know why. But when I turned on Sausage Party, first of all, we started with the last scene, which is a big food orgy, which was a mistake because that means I had to watch it twice. But when Sausage Party was all of the raunch with none of the funny, and it just sort of made me upset and offended. I wouldn't say offended. It made me upset and disgusted, and I felt like, as a viewer, I felt like nothing in the movie, I felt like it was trying to be bigger than it actually was, and it was just awful.
Really?
Yeah.
I like absurdist comedy. That's something I find really funny. It's a lot of people, like, they'll say, oh, well, you just said something really weird. And I don't know, I find it funny. Sausage Party isn't weird. It's like, and it's extremely raunchy, but it's not funny raunchy. It was just like, what if food had sex?
Yeah.
And that's the premise of the movie. Or, what if food knew we were eating it? And then that's my Seth Rogen impression.
Very close.
Thanks.
You're welcome.
I've watched Superbad almost one time. But
Fun fact, he wrote that when he was 15.
did he?
Yeah.
Well, I'm glad. Did he write Sausage Party when he was 12?
I hope so. Because other than that, I have little respect.
Okay, so Sausage Party has almost no funny jokes. I started laughing once during the food orgy scene the second time we watched it because I was so uncomfortable that I didn't know what to do, despite that being like the 5th time I've seen that. Because something in one of my friend groups used to be to post that and make other people watch it as a joke when the movie first came out.
Yeah.
Or use it as like shock humor, because that's what it is. The entirety of the entirety of the last scene is like, oh, this is so shocking, they're doing it. Ooh, zooey mama. And but it doesn't work because it goes on for like a full 2 minutes. And then I swear there was an after credit scene where the baby carrots, which are referred to as children, had something sexual done to them. But we couldn't find it again.
Now, honestly, first of all, you know they're baby carrots because earlier in the movie when they're being eaten, someone mentions they're eating children. So that's a primary source.
They are canonically children.
And they honestly, I wouldn't doubt if they had some weird scene where the children carrots are having sex, but they probably did not leave that in the Netflix version.
Unfortunately.
Dang. That's what I was looking forward to.
It's weird because it seems like every piece of media has a point to it. Nothing is pointless. Seinfeld is not pointless, despite it being the show about nothing, which it's not about nothing. It's about the way a comedian gets his jokes.
Yes.
But every piece of media has a point to it. Something it's trying to say. Over the Garden Wall was
about the unknown.
Yeah, Over the Garden Wall is about the fear of the unknown, the fear of death, and potentially what getting lost and stuff you don't know about can do, and how learning about it can potentially improve who you are and get you out of a bad situation. Meanwhile, Seth Rogen's point to Sausage Party seems to be eating food is bad.
Yeah. It's weird because I can think of this movie and I can also think of the movie that we talked about last time, John Dies at the End. But they're both bad, by the way. But the difference is, I feel like John Dies at the End had more respect for the story that it was telling. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like, whereas this movie was just, like, I watched it and I was like, this movie is nothing. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Like, when a hot dog goes inside of a bun, it could be like they're having sex. Let's have a massive food orgy where every point in... Also, the story breaks its own canon because there are a ton of non-food items, but since they go in vaginas, they're given characters.
But I don't know how many people are shoving toilet paper up their vaginas.
Oh, it's because he was shoving it. He was using the toilet paper to clean up his cum.
Oh.
That was the joke.
I thought
that was the joke there.
Laughs.
Oh.
Can we name off the things that were not supposed to be alive because they were not food?
I'll start with the used condom.
Yeah, the douche.
Oh yeah, the douche, who's the main villain.
Yeah, the main villain is not food.
First of all, I'd like to mention Cole said go to any point in this movie, and so I did. And what the point was, it was a douche sucking juice out of a juice box through like a little opening that's supposed to represent a vagina, sucking the juice to the point to where it kills the juice box. Although this whole thing is basically a rape.
Oh yeah, so the first on-screen the first on-screen sex scene in Sausage Party is rape. Also, I would like to mention there's a lot of on-screen sex, but it's okay because they're food.
Or a douche.
Or a douche.
Well, also, there's an entire scene where a douche basically rapes a guy's butthole at the very end.
You literally see the douche, like, because the douche tries to take control of a human, and what he does is he goes up the dude's butthole, and then you see the douche pull this guy's scrotum.
Yeah, to control him.
And why? Seth, why?
The entire character of the douche made me uncomfortable after, like, he raped and killed a guy and absorbed his power. Mm-hmm. But yeah, there's a lot of food rape.
Yeah.
In this movie. And that's not cool.
Seth really wanted to get his rocks off.
Yeah, I guess. All of that, the very symbolic atomic bomb representation, but when the people fall out of the shopping cart.
Oh, yeah. So, there's an entire scene where this jar of honey mustard, it was honey mustard, right?
Yeah, it was honey mustard.
Yeah, gets returned after going to a human's house. Now, I guess if we want to do a little plot summary of Sausage Party, Sausage Party, what happens is you're following a sausage because haha sort of looks like a dick, and a bun which haha sort of looks like a vagina.
The bun the bun, I might add, is shaped to have womanly curves.
Oh yeah, the bun has tits.
Yeah.
Yeah. And also a vagina mouth.
But also a vagina.
Yeah. So, I'm so disgusted just talking about this. So,
That scene in the eggplant scene just grossed me out. Jesus.
Okay, so you have the bun and the sausage, and all of the food in the supermarket has this idea of the great beyond, which is that it's when you're bought, you go to heaven.
This is all learned in an opening song written by Alan Menken, who, in case you don't know, did the music for The Little Mermaid and The Beauty and the Beast.
Which I'm very disappointed that
In him.
he... Yeah.
Yeah.
Dang you, Seth.
Anyway, keep going. Sorry to interrupt you.
No, it's all good. And this honey mustard ends up going to the great beyond. Well, of course, when we take food home, we eat it. So that's what
Can I
happens.
mention? Most of the food is excited about the Great Beyond because all they care about is having sex with other food.
Oh, completely.
Yeah, keep going.
He comes back. He's returned because the guy who bought him was like, hey, I wanted normal mustard, bought honey mustard, sorry. And then he returns the honey mustard. Now, the honey mustard has had he's disillusioned. He's had all of the Great Beyond idea wiped. So he ends up in the cart with main character sausage and main character bun.
It's okay. That monogamy joke though was hilarious.
Oh, yeah, man, I had one of those laughs.
The best part of the whole movie was whenever they said the F word, Cole would pretend to laugh to the point where he would start coughing. There you go. Alright, keep going.
And so, disillusioning the sausage because he starts talking about how none of this is real, the jar of honey mustard falls off, and it breaks, and they're all on the floor, and there's this weird, really bad nuclear bomb imagery where you see everybody deformed, and you see just this rubble of dust everywhere, and you see, like, if you've ever watched or read a story that actually shows the terrible things that happen when you're outside of the blast of a nuclear explosion, that's the type of imagery that was shown with them falling out of the shopping cart, along with the shopping cart coming out of the clouds, much like the explosion would if this were a movie that focused around something like a nuclear explosion.
Mm-hmm.
Then after that, I don't know, I guess we'll just skip to when they kill a human, because everything between that's meaningless. Oh, yeah.
Okay, well, yeah, so basically, so after that, the sausage goes looking for answers, him and the bun are together. He goes and meets a guy named Firewater, who is a non-perishable food item, and all of the non-perishable food items basically invented the idea of the Great Beyond. So
Also, all of them are offensive stereotypes.
Oh yeah, so Firewater is a totally stereotypical Native American who always just gets high and talks about wisdom.
Mr. Grits.
Mr. Grits is black, and at the end of the movie, fucks crackers, because that's all he talks about doing.
And a Twinkie.
What was the Twinkie?
The Twinkie's a representation of a gay dude.
I figured that, but I didn't want to think about it. Yeah, so basically the non-perishable food items, the grits, the Firewater, and the Twinkie, invented the idea of the Great Beyond so that the other food in the supermarket wouldn't scream and be terrified when they're purchased because they wouldn't know. Seth Rogen finds this out, a bunch of bullcrap happens, everybody finds out, then everybody starts killing the humans that are trying to buy them. Oh, and there's also a subplot between the douche trying to kill them because the douche blames them for not being purchased.
And yeah, that's it, because the douche, he's a douche.
And he rapes and kills people to absorb their power and become more powerful.
Yeah, a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Although it's only shown on screen once, other times he's just killing them and drinking them.
Well, remember, there is that entire pile of his victims
Well,
that
yeah,
he
but
stands on.
like the act is only shown on screen. Like the first one is an obvious rape.
Yeah.
And it's disgusting.
Mm-hmm.
Then the other ones are just actually killing.
Yeah.
So yeah.
That guy grosses me out.
It was a disgusting movie, but I would like to say something about Sausage Party is that it's beautifully animated, and I hate that.
Okay, yeah, I did notice that. Like, at the end when they're at the time machine and all the blues, I really liked that.
Well, all the action in the movie and everything, it looks really nice, but it's Sausage Party, and I hate it. Think of all the wonderful talent, the millions of dollars that went into making this movie. Mm-hmm. And then feel sad that we don't have any of that, and we could have made a much better animated movie.
Oh yeah, totally. Like, with a story that people will care about.
Exactly. It's like I had a joke with one of my friend groups in that they didn't actually hire anyone for Sausage Party. They just got like they would stand outside of CalArts, and whenever anyone graduated, they'd just like take them and put them in Seth Rogen's basement until they finished a second of animation.
I remember my mind was blown away because I was trying to find the deleted scene with the baby carrots, and I saw like 2 producers, and they're like, when we were writing Sausage Party, and I was like, wait, more than one person worked on this?
Yeah, there were 3 or 4 writers on Sausage Party, but Seth Rogen was the main guy.
Yeah. What were we gonna get into after we talked about the plot?
We're just talking about it. I was just talking about how like I hate that the movie like looks nice.
Yeah. It does look great, but a lot of the imagery in this movie is just disgusting and horrible. Like, especially in the scene where in the beginning of the movie, some of the food gets bought, and like after that, like the hot honey mustard thing and the nuclear explosion stuff happens, so some of the food falls on the ground, but then the rest of it still gets purchased. And when it gets to the scene to where it's finally eaten, it's just horrible. Like, she skins a potato and throws him in boiling water. It shows like her putting bacon on the skillet and like they're being like fried alive. She grates cheese onto nachos and then she microwaves it, and it's basically like I don't even want to think about it.
Oh yeah, there's one scene where one of the sausages who had escaped this horrible lady trying to eat her food.
Yeah, what a horrible demon.
What a terrible person. This horrible lady trying to eat her food, and the sausage is escaping and trying to get back to the supermarket, and he finds a piece of dung on the sidewalk, and there's just corn coming out of it.
Oh yeah, zombie corn.
Zombie corn, and it was disgusting.
Yeah.
The entire movie is just disgusting, and I guess I can go into my rant about why I hate Sausage Party so much right now.
Please do.
Alright, so, as somebody who really appreciates animation and sort of wants to be an animator, right? I hate Sausage Party for what it represents in Western media. Because the reason I really like that we talked about Over the Garden Wall first is we got through how a mature and serious story can be told through Western animation. Because usually when you think of Western animation, you're thinking about SpongeBob, you're thinking about Fairly Odd Parents, you're thinking about sort of a kid's cartoon. You're thinking about, oh, kids like this, but I'm probably not going to. Although this is sort of changed with more of the G-rated movies that have come out, like the Lego movie. No, that was PG or PG-13. But anyway, something kids can enjoy, and something adults will enjoy too, but that's only with movies. People don't really, like, see a Western animated TV show as something to really pay attention to. Unlike, Eastern animation, anime and stuff, which, a lot of people are into, and it tells serious, mature stories, and is also for all ages.
I was going to say, by the way, when you think about animation, nothing in the entire medium of animation means that it has to be childish just because you can draw whatever you want.
Yeah, nothing at all.
Like, I guess, like, it's the idea of the freedom of being able to have whatever you want is what makes people believe that it's childish.
Yeah, exactly. It's like the idea that it's not real. Because some people can't, like, they can't watch Star Trek or whatever because they're like, it's not real. Because for whatever reason, they either don't have the ability or they don't want to suspend their disbelief. It's the people who go like, oh, that's stupid and stuff like that because they don't want to experience a story. But like, when people give in to this and they see what the medium of animation can do, it can be something really amazing. But we don't do that in Western abilities. And we don't have high-octane things, like super, like, magic and stuff just doesn't look good in real life right now.
Yeah.
Like, animation works great for the types of stories that have these really weird high-energy effects and stuff like that. Because they're like, I think they're called tokusatsu shows in Japan, that's like Power Rangers and stuff. They don't look that good.
Yeah.
They don't look that good.
Remember when real Godzilla, like live-action Godzilla, oh boy.
Fun stuff. I love CGI and not the suit. But I hate Sausage Party for its representation because it's one of the first R-rated adult animated films to come out in theaters across the entire United States. Now, that's not an issue. We need more of these shows. We need things that can be shown to adults because animation is a wonderful medium. But the problem with Sausage Party is there are 2 ways people see animation, because I know Cole was talking about how when people think about animation, they're generally thinking about children. But The other thing that they think of when they think animation is Family Guy or The Simpsons. The Simpsons is a wonderful show. Family Guy is not a wonderful show. But regardless, it's still raunchy humor with sort of like, you know, haha, I said the sex word. So the difference there is we don't have anything that's a happy medium right now. Well, in Western animation, we don't have anything that's a happy medium, something that can be mature and dark and respected, but is also something that's just generally made for adults. Like, as opposed to Sausage Party or Family Guy in animation when it comes to Western animation. Because it's either has to be dumbed down enough for kids, or it's, haha, said the fucking fuck word.
Yeah, fucking shit, fuck, and then everybody's like, oh, haha, they're being edgy.
Woohoo!
I would like to say that, and it makes me really happy when I think about this. I feel like it could change, because growing up, I loved... Actually, what do you mean growing up? I still do. I love Legos. And so when I found out they were making a Lego movie, I was like, even though it's probably going to be trash, I'm still going to watch it. And so I watched it, and I realized it told a great sentimental story that has meaning through the medium of... I'll just say Lego Claymation, because that's what it's designed to look like, even though it actually isn't.
Well, it was, and then they put CGI over it.
Yeah. The Lego movie can tell a completely concise, sentimental story. And so can, as I saw a few weeks ago, the Lego Batman movie, which told a different story. So the first Lego movie was all about being special and finding something special within yourself.
I haven't seen the Batman one yet.
Can I just tell you what it's about?
Yeah.
The Lego Batman movie is about finding family and being, because Batman's always alone. It's about finding family and finding people that you can connect to even after the fear of losing them, which is why it's said in the Batman movie that he's afraid to have a family because he lost his family in the beginning, or like pre-film. So like movies like that give me hope because they have great animation and they have great jokes. Like the Lego movie is infinitely funnier than Sausage Party.
How? Seth Rogen didn't write it.
Oh, that's true. Oh, let me take it back up. Was Chris Pratt in Sausage Party? No, Paul Rudd was. Paul Rudd was the manager with the douche up his butt.
Yeah.
Great use of Paul Rudd. But yeah, so like the Lego movie is infinitely better than Sausage Party is. And that makes me happy because, and if that's true, then any type of medium can have a respected story as long as the people who are writing it respect it as well.
Mm-hmm. Well, I don't think a problem with Sausage Party is that they didn't respect it, because they totally respected what they were doing. They loved what they were doing. Well, at least Seth Rogen did.
Oh, yeah.
But it's just the problem with they were like, we have an R rating, we can do whatever we want. We can tell whatever story we want with no boundaries. Let's make it about food having sex.
Yeah. I wonder if did anybody working on this movie think, this is really gross?
Yeah, who animated this movie or like worked on it and was like, yeah, looks fine.
This is hilarious. Watching food get savagely destroyed while it's screaming in pain is great.
Mr. Rogan, can I have my food this week?
Jesus.
Can you unlock the ball and chain for just a couple minutes? I'd like to walk around the office.
Oh, as long as you animate it being savagely killed.
Well, we did that scene a couple weeks ago, sir.
Do it again. We need an entire movie of this.
Oh no.
That's our narrative for how Sausage Party was made.
I guess we could move on to talking a little bit about When Blackbirds Fly.
Well,
do not watch When Blackbirds Fly after we talk about this. I do not want this to be an advertisement for When Blackbirds Fly, despite this probably going to perk up your morbid curiosity. Just please don't.
Please do not watch this movie because I don't want, what is it, Johnny Screamer Claus?
Yeah.
I don't want him to have the satisfaction of having more views. A lot of this talk will be speculation because neither of us have seen the movie the whole way through.
in its entirety.
But we watched the review and I read the plot summary.
And I've seen an hour into the movie.
And I've seen 20 minutes in until Cole was like, I don't want to experience this again. Can we turn it off? Do you want to go with the story?
Sure, I guess.
I'll talk to until I don't know what the story is anymore, and then you can pick it up.
Okay.
Okay, so basically, it starts, first of all, it's all in Gary's Mod crappy CG animation.
Well, First, can we talk about who Jimmy Screamer Claus is?
Yeah, go for
Because
it.
I know a little bit about Jimmy Screamer Claus.
I don't know anything about him.
Yeah.
I don't want to either.
This movie is made by a man who willingly calls himself Jimmy Screamer Claus. So he's that edgy guy who you thought would shoot up the school. Anyway, he's made 4 movies. When Blackbirds Fly,
Where the Dead Go to Die.
Where the Dead Go to Die.
And then, do you want me to look up the other 2 titles?
Nah, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
It's like Mirrors Reality and something else.
Yeah.
It's
Edgy titles.
Edgy titles. He's one of those people that you don't want to have contact with because he's weird. He believes that the reason his movies aren't successful is because the mainstream media is stupid and the government doesn't want people to watch them. That's what he believes. He thinks that he makes masterpieces that are just totally telling the truth. Mm-hmm. And they're bad. They're bad.
Who's the controversial Canadian director, I think, who just makes terrible movies and then he just complains about it, about how nobody likes them?
I have no clue.
Here, I'll look it up. Keep going.
I can't keep doing this. Yeah, so he has a YouTube channel. Again, I don't suggest you watch it. All of his videos are just bad and weird. I mean, they're a wonder of editing. In the same way that I say Sasha's Party has nice animation, I hate that he has the ability to edit the way he does. But his stuff just really doesn't have any merit. Well, it has merit, but it's not saying anything. It's just like government bad.
Yeah.
And that's all you can get out of his work, basically, is how paranoid he is about everything and how brilliant he thinks himself as.
The director's name is Uwe Boll.
Ooh.
Yeah.
What has he made?
Here, I'll look it up. Well, I'm not gonna look it up like I know what it is. Let me see. I'm trying to find one. House of the Dead, Alone in the Dark, Blood Rain, In the Name of the King, Blood Rain 2. He made Postal. You know what that is?
Oh, is he a video game director? All of those are video games.
No, he made the movie version of all of these video games.
Well...
His most recent work is Rampage President Down.
Wait, what's his name?
Uwe Boll.
All right, look out for the Uwe Boll Cole Squared podcast episode.
Please no.
Yes.
Okay.
You've brought it up. We have to.
All right, keep going.
Okay, I'm going to talk about one more thing in the production because I've already said what I want to say about Jimmy Screamer Claus. There's a band. Their name is Passenger of Shit. They did music for the movie. They're also really bad, and they also have the same thing where they think their own stuff is brilliant, but it's just sort of noise. And I'm all for listening to noise, but not that noise.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Okay, so the plot. How far I got into it. So basically, it starts off with this man, and he's feeding blackbirds bread. First of all, I don't mean to brag, but the audio for our podcast is infinitely better than the audio for this full budget movie.
Yeah, you thought the breathing in the last episode, maybe this episode was bad?
Oh, wow. It's like, not only does he not have a pop filter, but also his microphone doesn't have a cover. He's just talking right into the receiver. But, Cole's wearing a pink helmet. He just put it on. But yeah, so it starts off, he's feeding blackbirds. One of them is injured, which the animation is just the blackbird is totally straight. Its wings are just totally straight out, and that's how you know it's injured. So he brings it inside. Him and his wife talk about how they're going to have a baby because all of their having baby paperwork has been done. There's the only color in this movie are pictures of this guy named Kane, who
has blue eyes.
He has blue eyes. He's the leader of their town, unequivocally, by the way, because it's like a dictatorship, I guess.
Yeah. The town is called Heaven, by the way, in case...
Oh, yeah. Very stereotypical black priest man comes to the door, tells them they can have a baby, so they go to have the baby, which basically means they pick through a bunch of grotesque-looking baby souls that all kind of look like...
worms.
Yeah, worms. They pick one. He sticks it... The guy, the main character, the man... he sticks a knife in his throat and he spits blood all over the baby worm. The woman sticks a knife in her vagina and she pees blood all over the baby worm. And it turns into a boy who's like 15. And they have to
He's like 10.
Oh, he's like 10.
He's like 10.
And then he's their child from now on.
Yeah.
Okay.
They name him Marius. There we go.
Mm-hmm.
Is that all you got?
Yeah, that's all I got.
Okay. They name him Marius, and they take him to school. Something's wrong with Marius. He's just sort of like wanting to rebel. He meets a girl named Eve, and then Eve shows him that there's... I think this is what happens. Eve shows him that there's a hole in the wall, and so they look there, and there's a cat that's just laying in the field. It's like, I broke me leg, help. And then Marius and Eve are like, let's go help the cat. So they go out there, and then there's just terrible colors. Like, all the colors are just trippy. Like, the colors that were in the birthing scene, like, it's like that, but, like, 800%.
Oh, God.
Whenever they're in the town, it's black and white. Whenever it's something that has to do with evil secrets, it's terribly saturated, which is ridiculously bright neon colors, constantly alternating, which is terrible.
Don't watch this yet. Well, don't watch it at all, but especially not if you have epilepsy.
Yeah, please do not watch this if you have epilepsy. They go out there, and this cat shows them through the forest, and they eat a forbidden fruit or whatever, because allegory.
Yeah, there's a lot of fruit allegory in this movie.
And then Kane's death squads come in, and they're like, get back in. But they eat the fruit, and something happens. The cat turns into this big woman and, like, kills them all. I think this is what happens. And then leads them further into the forest, where they meet the evil one, which was a woman that... the first woman that God made and rejected, and she's the reason that there are child souls underground. After that, the cat lady catches up with Eve and kills Eve while they're running back to the town, and Marius makes it back. And then the cat lady turns Eve into a rabbit, and then that rabbit kills, is going to kill Marius, but it doesn't really work, and the rabbit or whatever infects everyone in the town with something. That's as far as I got. And then I know the ending of the whole thing is that none of it happened, and this was all an advertisement to show that Kane is the best.
Yeah. If you like disgusting imagery and rape, and you haven't already seen Sausage Party, well, still don't watch When Blackbirds Fly.
Yeah. I recommend Sausage Party infinitely more than I recommend When Blackbirds Fly.
And you know how we feel about Sausage Party, because we just talked about it.
For like half an hour.
Yeah. Oh my God. Why did we do this to ourselves?
Well, maybe we'll have good things to talk about next podcast. We won't.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Is this how we sign off?
I suppose so.
Okay. Well, When Blackbirds Fly, don't watch it because it was horrible. We gave you the plot summary, but our opinion is just that it's horrible.
Yeah, there's not really anything to talk about other than the guy who made it is extremely pretentious, the music's terrible, the audio's bad, and the animation's bad, and yeah.
And the story's bad.
Yeah, everything about it is bad. So, Jimmy Screamer Claus, I give you one of the old, fuck you, man.
I just give him a thumbs down, but okay.
I give this 0 sausage parties out of 10.
Yes, and I give Sausage Party 0 Over the Garden Walls out of 10.
And I give Over the Garden Wall a 9 out of 10.
Yes, so whatever the heck that means.
You do the math.
Yeah. This has been episode 2, the Christmas special.
This has been the Christmas special of the Cole Squared podcast. Thank you for watching. Please make sure to follow us on Twitter at the Cole Squared podcast. If you haven't, please subscribe to the Cole Squared YouTube channel and look out for us on other services as we find ourselves with more funds later on, hopefully.
Yes.
A special thanks to, I believe the company is called Invisible Ink in Jacksonville, Florida, which will be printing several posters for us. If you would like a poster, please talk to us. We can work out the prices because we don't exactly have a website up right now. And yeah, that's really it. Thank you for all the comments. Thank you for everyone from our hometown who has talked to us and gave us lots of support and just said wonderful, nice things.
Mm-hmm. Thank you, Mr. Crooks. No, but seriously, thank you very much for listening. Please continue to do so, because we love doing this podcast, even though basically all it ends up doing is we complain about the bad movies that we choose to watch.
Well, that's fine.
Anyway.
All right.
Peace out.